the country, we want other people speak English. Also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But funny things that before I went to Europe a long time ago, I was trying to study German so I can speak, right? And you get over there and they all speaking English. It's like, ah, you saved me a lot of trouble. I could have just, forget about it and just speak all English. But anyway, I think we're live. Are we live?
We are.
All right.
Yes, we are surely kicking and screaming alive. Hello, everyone. It's just funny now. My screen doesn't. Yeah, every day I say the same thing. The screen does not show that I'm live for some reason.
Yeah, it shows
I
on
trust you.
Yep.
Yep.
So, yeah, make sure you record.
Yeah, I'm juggling.
The corner says live on Facebook. So.
Yeah. Okay, so happy Thursday, everyone. Hi, Len.
Good afternoon, Leah, Sarah. Nice to meet both of you.
Sarah, yeah. Wow. From just looking at the name, people might think you're my little brother. No relation whatsoever. He just stole my name and put it to an N.
Tran is like another Smith in English, yeah?
Almost. Well, I think, next to the so you probably have a Chinese background because I think Nguyen and Lei and Pham are the main three of of Vietnamese descent. But most of the Tran is equally the same with the Chen, how they spell differently. And my husband's a Tran, so he's like, some relative of Trần Hưng Đạo, one of those general in Vietnam. I don't know, you're probably too young to even know the history of that, but Tran is Chen in Chinese. That's why so you're sort of Chinese descent. But we're going off topic like always. We are going to start our program, and welcome everyone. I hope you stick around, pull a chair, tag a friend, because we're going to have some really nice culture and courage conversation today. So as always, I'm going to ask Sarah to kick off the program by introduce herself.
Definitely. My pleasure. Hello, everyone. It's good to be back. For the sake of saving us time, I'm going to introduce myself very quickly, and many of you already heard. I'm Sarah M. I grew up in Cambodia. Start out very beautiful life until when the communist Khmer Rouge took over, and they turned our life upside down, inside out, and they basically destroyed our country. And I struggle trying to survive. And fortunately, I was able to survive. Praise God that He's probably heard my prayer, and He protected me and saved me. And here I am in this beautiful, wonderful country, and meeting so amazing people here. So I'm just so grateful. And I wrote my story in a book. It's called How I Survived. I cannot find it. Anyway, How I Survived the Killing Fields. It's available on my website, sarahim.com. And I'm also a speaker. If people would like me to come and inspire their audience with some different kind of talk, reach out to us, to me or Lee. We both can help. So that's all I want to say. Back to you, Lee.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, today we are continuing on the conversation of courage and determination. And I'm so glad that my brother here, Len, actually no relation, but he's younger and he's considering a brother because we came from the same country. We are shipmate in a sense because we are boat people. We were boat people. We're no longer boat people. Now we're cruise people. But anyway, my background is from the sea, and that's why we were called boat people, because we escaped the communists via the sea route. And that was 40 years ago. And I just felt comfortable enough to tell my story, and it's out in my memoir last September. And I spoke about it. I brought the message to the stage on TEDx, and I also am a speaker. So to inspire people to break their silence, tell their story, and be courageously own who they are. Because without owning who you are, you cannot move forward. So embrace your heritage, and especially this is the month of AAPI. We want to honor our heritage, and that's why we bring in a lot of different backgrounds so we can share stories. But Len here, let me give Len's a quick introduction before I send the mic to him. Let me see if I can find.
I got his. I got it. If you want.
Yeah, do you want to read it? I
Sure.
don't know where I put it. I had it up a minute ago.
Sure. My pleasure. It's my pleasure to introduce our guest today. Uh, his name is Len. In 1981, Len and his father left Vietnam on a small fishing boat with more than 50 other people to search for freedom. After surviving 5 days of the treacherous sea, they were rescued by an American ship near Hong Kong. The path to America was a tough one, with adapting to life as a refugee in Hong Kong and then transferred to living in Lea Tran in the Philippines. Arriving in New York City was a life changer. However, the next 2 decades living in the South Bronx was another obstacle of its own. Dealing and overcoming language barrier, bullying, and financial hardship have made him understand the importance of determination to succeed. Currently, he is finishing up his book documenting in documenting his journey to America and his will to survive. So it's our pleasure to welcome our guest, Len Tran.
So Len, that's a little brief of the history, but I'm sure it's so much deeper in that. Can you give us a snippet of all the obstacles and the things that you have to go through, and what age did you get on that boat?
Yes, certainly. Well, thank you very much, Leah and Sarah, for having me late afternoon and share my story. Yeah, it was in 1981 when I was just roughly almost about 8 years old. And my dad asked me to go to the backyard with him, and he was digging up holes. And I was like, why is he digging up holes? He was putting Vietnamese, we call it bánh trung thu, which is a moon cake. And so he packed all the moon cake in a bag and then buried it under the dirt in the backyard. And I have no idea what he was doing. And then that afternoon he said, do you want to go visit your uncle in the city? Now both, we live in the countryside right next to the beach. And I was like, okay, you know what? I haven't seen uncle and my cousins in a long time. I don't mind going to the city. Now it does take more than a day and a half just to go to the city, because you have to go to the boat, the ferry. Well, nowadays probably take an hour or two by car. But that afternoon I said, yeah, let's go, Dad. Then he brought me to this strange home in the middle of nowhere in the beach. And he said, we are going to have dinner and we're going to sleep here. And then in the early morning, we're going to go visit your uncle. The next thing I know, I felt and saw this strange shadow. It was really strange, and I was half asleep. A strange man just carried me across the beach, and I was screaming for my dad, and he covered my mouth and then just threw me right into the boat. And I kept on screaming. He held my mouth even tighter and just screamed and said, shut up. Well, in Vietnamese, said, im. But in English is, yeah, shut up. And I was looking in front of me. All I see was just children and women. I was like, where are the men? And where's my dad? And then when they pushed the boat out to the sea, that's when my dad jumped in. And that's pretty much the beginning of my journey to America. But the worst part is there were two boats that's supposed to go together. The other boat has a compass. We don't. We're supposed to follow.
Oh,
But at that moment, you scared because if you get caught, you get shot. Right? There's no telling you to come back. No, you're
yeah,
gonna get shot in the middle of the sea.
yeah.
So everyone, both boats rushed out, and the other one just left us. And when we got to the middle of the ocean, well, meaning we just lost sight of the land. We were confused. We were like, okay, which direction to go? And for the next 3 days, the only thing that we were able to eat was just rice that some of these ladies brought with them, and just roll it up and wrap it with banana leaves and a little bit salt on that, and then the water that we brought along. But within 3 days, we ran out. We ran out of food, and the next thing we can do is just hoping to get rescue. And in the middle of South China Sea, there's always other fishermen. But I believe that during that time, there was so many boat people that they can guess that we're one of them, but they were afraid to get close to us because either, we're gonna take over their boat, or whatever their thought is. But, I can understand that they were afraid. And so they knew that, we were in dire need of help. So they'll throw some water, a container of water, but that cannot be sustained for more than 50 people until the point of, I would say the beginning of the fourth day is when the whole entire boat was just about to give up and ready to die. And people start praying, there's people praying for God, there's people praying for Buddha. And amazingly, I still have that vivid memory. This dark cloud just went right above us. And we thought that, the thunderstorm is coming, it's gonna blow our ship, flip upside down, and this will be the end of it. But instead, we got this torrential rain. And, we just grabbed that plastic and drank that water. And, we would take containers of empty containers, capture as much we can. And I would say within around roughly 10 minutes, it stopped, and we see the sunshine again. Now, in the Buddhist belief, we pray to Guang Theum, which is the god
Goddess, yeah.
the goddess of
Mercy, yeah.
mercy, yeah. And we're like, yeah, you know what? The enlightened one were hearing our prayers, and luckily because of that, we were able to survive for another day until the fifth day. That's when we were like, you know what? It's time to die. And that's when we saw a big ship, and everyone took out their white shirt. I guess white is to represent for surrender.
SOS, yeah.
And just wave. And as an 8-year-old child, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do the same thing. And luckily, we got saved by the American ship. They picked us up. Surprisingly, they only picked up the women and the kids before the men. They said, you guys stay down there, and they tied their boat next to our boat. And I was like, Dad, I'm lonely up here, But at that moment, as a kid, you just go with the flow. And when they brought us to a barge, I think that's what it's called, a big barge in the middle of the ocean, and I was like, oh my goodness, hundreds of Vietnamese refugees are placed on there because they have to check us out, spray us down, I guess the chemicals, make sure that, they kill the lice or whatever diseases that we may have. And until a few hours later, that's when they transport a chunk of people to Hong Kong. I guess they reserve a certain area just for refugee people. And then the next day is when they put us in a refugee camp. Now living in a refugee camp, it's another story of its own. And this is back in 1980, 82, 81. That's when, they have fences around and they have barbed wires because they make sure that, people don't escape, I heard that for both people who came here like in the 90s, they were able to, even though they live in a refugee camp, they're able to come in and out. Back
to go to work. Yeah.
Go to work, right.
Yeah.
But back then, when my dad and I were there, you can't. If they catch you, climb out, the security guard would beat you up.
Right.
And I had witnessed a lot of people gotten beat up. I witnessed my dad got beat up, and that's because when you're just so hungry, you just have to find means to survive, even though, they fed us at the refugee camp, but every single day is just eating, white rice and bean sprout. But one thing that I'll never forget is when they gave us condensed milk. The condensed milk, I guess we call it chữ ông thọ, in Vietnamese. It's condensed milk, and we just drill a hole and just suck through that thing and just pass around through, all kids and adults. That's the only sweetener or slash dessert that we had in Hong Kong, and we went through at least 6 months of like that. It's like living like I wouldn't call it like a prisoner, but very restricted. At the refugee camp. But life actually changed when we went to the Philippines. Although it's still a refugee camp, but at least we were able to roam around. So we get a little bit more freedom here and there.
So let me fill in a little bit for our audience in case they are not understanding the context. I was a little older, well, maybe a lot, than Len. I left in 1979 and I was 16 at the time. So my boat's a little bigger, and I want the audience to understand the bigger boats actually get permits because we pay money as Chinese. We pay money to get out of Vietnam. Now, that's still not officially that you can just go in and out. We still have to sneak in and out, but we didn't have to do such a dire condition. We actually was able to board all 500 people in a daylight in a dock and, get stuff because we grease all the palms from the officers, the policemen, or whatever. Now, the reason that Len has to go out in the small boats because he's truly escaping without any bribery from government.
Right.
And he has to do in a small batch of people, and the boats are smaller. And they have to do, sometimes people have to taxi out 2 at a time to go into a boat. And the boats are usually very dingy, sort of is not seaworthy type of construction. And they just take their family and the kids and maybe a few men with a few things. Now, did you ever get to eat those moon cake?
No, good. No, never turned back. But
he didn't dig that out. Oh my God, that would be a great dish to have, right? But we have in our boat they fed us all this jam. That's tiêu jiao. I don't know, bánh ú. That's called in Vietnamese, wrapped with banana leaves and sticky rice inside. Yeah. So very similar condition, but very different scenario. We both boat people, but many different layer type of escape. And not every single situation is the same, even though they sound similar, but they are very different in a sense. And big boats got a lot more people. We were so compact. It's like sardine in our boat. But our boat is a little sturdier. Now, we went in 1979, and there's a lot of pirates at that time. And the reason that you were, I think, based on my research, the reason that your boats bump into a large ship, because by 1981, the international are start aware that so many pirates out in the sea. So they have more international boats circulating. And the purpose is to spot out small refugee boats to help them. So in a sense that you're lucky you didn't get through pirates, but your small boat is probably a lot harder condition and starvation. That's what is occur. But and the other thing is like, it's just too far to go to Malaysia or Indonesia. So the next refugee camps make more sense. It's in Hong Kong. I mean, I think back in the 80s, between 80s and 90s, lots of people get their route to Hong Kong, and some actually being expat, repatriated to sent back to Vietnam,
Right.
if it's too overcrowded. So I've heard a lot about the Filipino camp that they actually move a lot of refugees there, so you can study English, you can clean your health and establish things. So that's why they start putting out refugee camps in Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
So you were 8 or 9, so you're still very young, and everything was still kind of like, so your mom was never on the picture.
Yeah, so the rule for that escape that night, when we came to America, when I was in my teenage years, is when I had a conversation with my dad, and I asked him. I said, because they had 6 kids, and I was like, Dad, why did you take me instead of the other 5? And being the oldest son, that was why it took me. I guess is an it's an Asian thing where the oldest son is always go with the dad, but then at the same time, we can find freedom together or we can die together.
Yeah. So yeah, for our audience, so in case you don't understand, because it's not like a trip that we just book and take a whole family.
Yeah.
So we have to take the strongest one, the survivor one, the one that may be able to help the family make a living when we get to a third country for resettlement. And then we're hoping that we'll sponsor our family over. So it wasn't a broke up family, like a divorce or anything. It's just because that the condition was not suitable for lady and younger kids. So you were the most like able to endure because you're 8 or 9. So it's considering one of the strongest kid in the family. Okay. Did you ever get a chance to sponsor your mom and your siblings over?
So yeah, so after living in America for 10 years, actually, my mom at that time took my entire siblings and did the same thing. She was also the boat people with 5 of my
Oh,
siblings. Yeah. The only difference is when they got to Hong Kong, they already knew. Well, we knew that they were there, so sponsoring from them to Hong Kong, it's much easier. So they didn't have to go through the lifestyle that we
yeah.
have done.
Yeah.
The only thing is they still had to endure the same journey on that small boat.
So you couldn't do it through the paperwork before she escaped? It's just too slow at the time.
It was just too slow at the time, and also it's very difficult. I mean, even when we got to America, it took a while for Dad and I to assimilate in America, and especially we were living in the South Bronx, and
Yeah, that's a tough neighborhood.
in
I
the-
call it a jungle. I mean, I was in Philly and I felt like a jungle already. I can't imagine in the South Bronx. But I'm glad that your family got reunited. It must be super tough for your mom as a single mom with 4
Yeah.
siblings
yeah,
to
definitely.
do that. And everybody get out okay. So God bless you. I mean, it was just such a journey.
Thank you.
Sarah, you want to ask something? I thought you jump on in, Sarah.
No, it's good to hear the good ending story. It's not the best, but at least everybody survive, everybody get out, and then find it, reach the destination. So it's always a heartwarming story.
But I am sure it's tough for a father and a son to be in the South Bronx, establishing a brand new beginning. And tell us the journey about you and your dad being both engineer, going to school at the same time. How did you let to that?
Yeah, it's quite interesting, and it's also a Vietnamese culture that you are the oldest son, so all the expectation is on your shoulders. And Dad always tell me, he said, we came here empty-handed. When we came here, he was only 36 years old,
Mm.
And he said, you know, while you go to elementary school, I'm gonna go get my GED. And I'm like, what's that, Dad? But later I found out, you know, yeah, he needs GED to go to college. But at 36, most people, I would say, you know, it's gonna be very difficult. But he was able to get his GED and later got his associate degree, and then, you know, he got his electrical engineering degree. And when I went to college, and I said, okay, Dad, you know what? I don't want to be an engineer. I want to be a psychologist. And he's like, no, I want you to be an engineer. I said, Dad, I don't like it. He said, no, you have the capability to be an engineer. So, you know, and I pleased my dad, but, you know, at the same time, I'm like, okay, you know what? It's worth it to give it a try. So that's when I signed up to be a chemical engineer. And it's kind of funny, after my first year, and I went to City College of New York, which is located in Harlem. So when you said South Bronx is bad, Harlem, oh my goodness, even 10 times worse, right? Every day going to school is like, oh, am I going through a war zone? But that's one
You
dad,
make it home on that day.
you know. And then he, out of nowhere, he said, you know what? I'm going back to school. I'm like, you're going back to school for what? Then he said, I'm going back to school so I can get my master's degree, and I want to be in school with you. I'm like, Dad, you know, you got a job already. You don't want to be in school with me. He said, no, I want to be in the journey with you. And it was kind of touching. I'm like, wow, you know what? 20 years ago, you know, Dad and I was you know, on a journey on a boat. Now he decided to go to college with me, and the
That's
funny part is,
amazing.
yeah, we have the same professor. I'm like, oh my goodness, people we have the same professor. But good thing we're not taking the same class. And so
Okay.
on the day that I graduated, actually, Dad also graduated as well, and he sat I no more than 10 rows in front of me, and that was something.
Oh, that's so heartwarming.
Yeah.
That is determination, people. This is a story of determination. And I think, you know, many people probably know Asian people value education super high just because that we don't have the luxury of going to school. And my son still gives like, that's all you want to do, to go to school when you get out? I say, yes. And he could not understand. It's just because we have a system in this country. Everybody has to go to school until high school. Now, in small countries in Asia, there's no rules say that you have to bring your kid to school until, I don't know about now, but back then, you know, there's not a mandatory. So a lot of time going to school is a luxury. It's something, it's a privilege. It's not something that, you know, you automatically can do it unless you have the right condition. So we value education super, super high. And I just crack about, you know, you got to be an engineer, just like all of us. Our parents always want us to be a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, perhaps, but never in the entertainment arena. Like, don't be a writer, don't be a theater, you know. It's like you're going to be begging for food. That's the mentality. I mean, you know, how many people in Hollywood are millionaire, right? They don't even have to work as hard as have the engineer, but that's the reality of being an Asian. And I think Asian now have a little more open mindset, but still, I really applaud your dad for taking that route, not just to be with you, but also to enhance himself. So did he and you end up working the same company too?
You know, funny that you asked. When I graduated, I actually applied to the agency where he worked for, which is the Department of Environmental Protection for wastewater treatment plant in New York City. And I just applied for fun, and it just so happened I got the job, but we worked for the same agency, not the same headquarter.
Okay.
And then I worked there for 2 years. And then my dad said, you know what, I'm going to move down to Virginia. I'm like, well, for what? He said, I'm going to join the patent office. I'm like, what's that? And he's like, yeah, this government job in Virginia. Let me give it a try. So then he moved down to Virginia. So I stayed in New York and worked there for another 2 years dealing with wastewater until the point I'm like, oh, I can't smell wastewater anymore.
Oh my God, trust me, I have interviewed in those places and I go home and I couldn't cross it off fast enough. I love to dress up and I love to be a place that is clean.
Yep.
And those facility, oh my God, you go in, it's like, how could somebody go to work here every day and so smelly? But anyway, God bless those people who works there because we need people who works there.
So imagine New York City, that I believe they have like the largest plant because we have like 14 different plants that cover the borough of New York City. Yeah, until I couldn't stand it anymore. I flew down to Virginia and I said, Dad, you know what? I don't know, I'm done with the process engineering job. He's like, why don't you try out the plant office? And so I said, okay, show me the kind of work that you do. And I looked at it. I'm like, I don't know if I like this stuff. But I told him, I said, you know what? Let me just give it a try anyway. So I applied for the job. 2 months later, flew down for an interview. I got the job offer. Now it's been 21 years.
And you are working,
So-
joining with him or in the same departments?
We are in the same, actually we were in the same building. He works for the electrical side and I work for the chemical side. But yeah.
How amazing is that? Oh
So-
my God, it's almost like always have a mentor, a father, a brother, you know,
Father and son team.
in the
That's
same
amazing.
field.
You know,
Oh,
the funny thing is, sometimes, yeah, it's nice to have your dad, you know, who's always there to mentor you. But then at the same time, you're like, God, it has to come from my dad because he'll mentor you, and then he'll also not give an advice, but said you must.
Yeah.
oh, that is so fun. That is such a unique story. And I guess it is a blessing that you are able to walk side by side with your dad all these years. And I'm sure you and him are very close knit together.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. And how's your brothers and your sisters doing, the younger ones?
So they are doing great, and I don't know how Dad also influenced my younger brother to also join the PAN office. So he's actually working with me now.
Okay, this is another Asian community thing. When we do something well, we tend to bring in our own people.
Yeah, it's everywhere in the Asian
think so.
community. You know, I used to live in Connecticut. I started out in Connecticut in 1981, so it's next door to New York. So I have a little bit of idea where you're talking about. But in the Connecticut community, wherever the Asian people work, the employer want to hire more of Asian.
Oh, because we're hardworking people.
Hardworking.
Our working ethic, I mean,
worker.
it's just not, I think it's as a whole, we are very dedicated race. I would like to say that we have well trained. We've been well trained since young, always about working hard. And so I am so proud of you, Len, that you have come this far. And I am sure it was a bumpy road. For me, it was really bumpy for the first 10 years, just to even find who I am and what I'm doing. But for you, I think, 20 years in order to reunite with your mom and your siblings and get everyone settled. So I guess all the family are now in Virginia.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
And it's got a huge population of Vietnamese in Virginia. The food is excellent. I love to go down there. What's the street? That's one street.
So it's called Eden Center.
Eden Center. Oh my God. Yes. Oh, that's the place every time we drive by. I have a nephew who's also working in the patent department. That's why I asked you. His name is Richard Torrente.
Yeah.
His mom is Vietnamese. My sister's, my husband's sister, and his dad is Filipino.
Okay.
But they didn't meet. They meet before the Vietnamese communists took over. But anyway, so there's I think a lot of government contract, lots of government work in DC area, and a great Vietnamese community down there. And so that's thriving. That is our thriving story, and such a beautiful ending and still going strong. Anything else you want to tell us about what's your current project?
Yeah, so right now, and also I would say inspired by Leah, because I met her at another platform, and I uh, fortunately enough to see Leah did a TED talk regarding to her book, and I at that time I was also starting to write my book, and my purpose during that time was to leave something so that my kids can read
A
and
legacy. Yeah.
legacy, yeah, and yeah, I this year I dedicate myself to get the book done, and hopefully inspire someone who can grab a the book, and understanding that through courage and determination, anything can happen. It's all about persistence, and I'm hoping that that should be done. I'm working with an editor right now, so I'm looking forward
That's
to.
wonderful. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for letting me inspire you to write your book. And that was the purpose of my journey, because I want to leave a legacy for my children, because I don't think my son would understand anything just, on a daily conversation. But
Mhm.
when he read my book, he was actually have so many more questions. And I'm so glad that that conversation happened. So hopefully, I mean, you have kids.
Yeah. My daughter's starting college this September. So yeah.
Yeah. See, so when you wrote your book, you will have an extra layer of connection. And I'm sure that you have a lot of questions to ask your mom and dad, so you can document it and pass it on to the next generation, not just to build your own legacy, but to honor their legacy as what they have worked so hard to give it to you. Just like I am honoring my dad. Unfortunately, he passed away many years ago, and he never got a chance to see the fruit of his labor.
Right.
But I'm so glad that it did inspire you. And hopefully, by doing this, we inspire more people to
Right.
break their silence and tell their story. So
Yeah.
Certainly.
Sarah did it, I did it, now you're doing it. So we need more people to do it. So
Yeah.
everyone can be an author. Don't shy away thinking that I don't know enough to write. There's
Yeah.
always people out there that you can hire to edit your story or work with you. But I think everyone's have a story, and your story is just as important as anyone's story. So well, thank you, Len, so much. Is there anything last word you want to tell our clients before we close up?
Oh, I just want to say, thank you very much. I can't believe it. 40 minutes, almost 40 minutes just passed by.
I know.
Yeah, it just so fast, and it's great, having a conversation with both of you. And it would be nice to always be invited back and talk to both of you.
Absolutely. Well, tell us when your book is done and published, and we'd love to have you back. And I think we'll find a topic to talk about. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And do you have a website? You have some place that you can direct people to if they want to connect with you?
Oh, definitely. I have to get the website done, because I have some of my students, my martial arts students. They more computer savvy than I am. I'm just a chemical guy. But
Okay.
yeah, once I get that established, definitely would love to share that with all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, keep us posted on your book, and we'd love to follow up. But thank you everyone for listening. And we love to have you tune back on Monday, because we're going to have two Vietnam vet. One is Vietnam vet, and one is a veteran, but he had some relationship. He rescued some Vietnamese people. So he's really proud to share his story as well. So on Monday, in honor of Memorial Days, we're going to have a panel of two guests, and me and Sarah is going to have fun interviewing those two guests. So we hope that you tune in and follow us and make some comments. If you do a replay, just hashtag replay, and we love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Thanks
So
again, Len.
yeah.
Thank you very
Even
much. Yeah, you go ahead, Sarah.
even it's on Memorial Day, we honor Memorial Day
We're
with
hardworking people. We don't
yeah,
take
we honor through our show, through our um interviewing the veterans. So
yeah.
Well, that's great. This is a great thing that both of you are doing, and to expand your viewers to understand more about the Vietnamese community, and also people who put their lives out there to help and to make contributions. And definitely, I'll tune in and watch you guys on Monday as well.
Yeah, it's called thriving conversation. I mean, we all had our surviving mode, but how do we get out of it? And the silver lining is we all can thrive if we put our, if we take our head out of the sand instead of burying it in the sand. But thank you everyone for watching, and we hope you have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Hang around, Len.